So everybody asks this question, right? Will housing prices go down in 2021? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. I'm not going to address the whole of the US, but I am going to talk about what may happen in Oklahoma in 2021 to the housing market. Welcome to my channel. My name's Marcie Billen, and I'm a real estate agent here in Norman, Oklahoma. I'm a realtor with Keller, Mulinix, and Team Realty. Now I'm shooting this in 2020, and of course, everyone wants to know what's going to happen in the housing market in 2021. So maybe in 2020, maybe you had thoughts of buying or selling your house, but you stayed inside and worked hard not to get sick, or just had to adjust to new life, and kids were doing different things than you were used to. And we totally get that. That's why we want to address what's going to happen in the housing market in 2021. So if you are thinking about buying, selling, or maybe investing in real estate, you can kind of get an idea about what that's going to look like for you. I cannot look into the future. I don't have a crystal ball. So I'm going to lay out these 5 ideas that I have for the 2021 housing market that other people also think are going to happen. So I'm going to cover 5 different points of different things that I think are going to happen in the Oklahoma housing market in 2021. Now, like I said, I am a realtor in Norman, Oklahoma. So some of my numbers will be biased around that. And obviously that's the market that I look at most often. However, I am familiar with the entire Oklahoma City metro area and the market. Now, once we move outside of those areas, not so much. Okay, my 5 points about the housing market for 2021 in Oklahoma. The first thing that we're going to talk about is interest rates. So interest rates are super, super low, and it's amazing. So to put this in context for you, because if you're 25 and you're like, what is low? What does that mean? Well, in the 80s, we saw interest rates. I mean, when I say we, I was born in the 80s, so I didn't see anything, but we saw interest rates between 10% and 16% for housing in the 80s. Now, our interest rates, a lot of people are getting below 3%, and between 3 and 4% is awesome. So why is that such a big deal? Why are low interest rates such a big deal? Low interest rates are the #1 indicator of affordability in a housing market. What does this mean? It means you may be able to get a little bit more for your house when the rates are lower if you're selling, and it means that you may be able to buy a little bit more house if you're purchasing a house, because you'll be able to afford more in your monthly payment. So is this a win-win? It absolutely could be. Just depends on your situation. Okay, so number 2, my point here is inventory. So we're looking at homes that are for sale on the market. So the question is, will there be an increase of homes for sale on the market in 2021? And I think that there will be. So this has been one of the biggest issues that we saw in 2020 is there weren't any houses to actually sell buyers, or there was a lot less there had been in the previous years. For instance, when we compare the market of 2019, let's take November. 2019 in November versus 2020 in November, we see that there are 35% less homes on the market between those 2 months, between November of 2019 and November of 2020. And if you were looking to purchase a house in Oklahoma in 2020, you probably noticed that, because you were like, I see 5 houses that I could be interested in versus the 20 I could have seen, 3 years before. So 2021, we definitely see that we may have an end in sight for the pandemic, for the virus, right? So that means that we're gonna see people getting vaccinated. We already are seeing that. And I think that that's gonna result in more people putting their homes on the market that have maybe been waiting for that. Some of our increase in inventory will also be new homes. So we're definitely seeing builders ramp up their sales, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Okay, number 3 for my 5 points, the rental market. So the rental market is always a question. And we've seen renters hit hard by, the economy, and especially different places closing, like restaurants and things like that. So what does that mean? Well, evictions have a moratorium on them in Oklahoma until December 31st, 2020. That could change, of course, and hopefully that will be extended a little bit for renters so they aren't facing eviction as fast as maybe they could be. So what I believe this means for buying and selling, especially here in Norman, is I think we're gonna see more and more investors who are reaching in retirement age start to sell off their inventory. Why is this? Well, the houses they're using for rentals have appreciated greatly in the past few years. And most likely they're gonna see, that they might get a lot of money this year for their houses that they've been renting out. And maybe their renters are moving or buying their own houses, which we've been seeing a lot of because of the low interest rates. So if these investors are selling their houses that are between, $100,000 and $200,000, that's an amazing boost for Norman because we don't have enough in that price range that are for sale. So the investors get their money, and you as a first-time homebuyer or someone who's looking for a house of that size gets to buy a house that maybe wasn't on the market before because of the rental market. So what about foreclosures? So this is always a question I'm getting from people. Well, foreclosures are happening, right? No, they're not happening. No foreclosures happened because there's been a moratorium on foreclosures as well as evictions. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, we have to put into perspective, right? The housing market is super slow. It's a super slow market. It takes forever for us to catch up to anything that's actually going on in the regular economy, right? Foreclosures take 6 months to sometimes 2 or 3 years to get that house on the market for sale once the bank takes control of the situation. Banks are slow. They have a lot of red tape. That's how it works. So yes, we may see an uptick in foreclosures this year. I already have just a little bit, and by just a little bit, I mean, instead of seeing 0 foreclosures come on the market every single week, I'm now seeing maybe 1 or 2 that are coming on the market, which isn't very many compared to 5 years ago, right? When we saw a lot of foreclosures come on the market. So we'll probably see an increase in these foreclosed homes, and that's gonna mean that we have more inventory on the market for home buyers because of those foreclosed homes. All right, my last point is migration to Oklahoma. We're seeing a lot of people leave bigger and more expensive cities and states to come to Oklahoma. So why are they moving here? Our cost of living is very low. You can get a beautiful house on a decent sized, plot of land that you can't get in California, Washington State, New Jersey, South Carolina, wherever. So we can see this trend on a national scale, but also on a local one. We're seeing people move away from cities because their bosses are saying, well, you don't have to come to work anymore. You can just stay home and work from home. And kids may be going virtual, maybe with some of the charter schools that are happening online. So if you can get your own little slice of paradise 25 miles outside the city, and once a week you get to go into the city and buy groceries and do all these things, would you do that? People are moving to the country from the city so they have space. They're working from home, they want their outside space, and their kids are going virtual. Now, obviously this is a short video. I could give you a lot more information. However, hopefully this gives you a little bit to go on. If you have more questions about your own micro market, then you can ask me. My email and phone number are below in the description. And if you are thinking about making a move to Oklahoma, I would definitely watch this video next.